Hey y'all, it's Lauren, and this is Shades of the City. Our very first guest is a Southside Chicago native whose TikToks on Chicago history have gone viral. From being featured on The Kelly Clarkson Show to working on a Netflix series, Shermann Dilla Thomas prides himself on educating the next generation of Chicagoans and shining a positive light on the city. But TikTok is just a platform for him to discuss the things he already knew. From a very young age, Dilla's father taught him about Chicago history.
That was his love language, right? Or how he and I, interacted together. So it was a lot of quizzes, right? What number east is, Jeffrey, right? If you couldn't say 2000 east, you couldn't touch his car, right? That kind of stuff. But sometimes it'd be really complex, right? He talked to me about the displacement of the Greeks from the west side when they built UIC and when it was built in 290, right? Sometimes it'd be correcting something, right? Like we'd be talking about the city would be talking about Fort Dearborn and other things as its inception while not necessarily honoring John Baptiste Point du Sable. So my father was big on honoring that. So yeah, I got a lot of Chicago from him. When I was a kid, it was always a game, and then as I got older, it was just he wanted to make sure I understood why things were the way they were, at their root causes, right? It was real simple to see a place like Inglewood in the 90s and want to blame all the crime on the residents, right? But he made sure that I was aware that during the 50s when it was white flight, not only did the white residents leave Inglewood, but they took their small businesses with them. They took the business infrastructure, and that hurts residents who find themselves living in that space afterwards.
His late father was a police officer for 30 years and a member of the African American Police League. Like many Black Chicagoans, his family migrated from the Deep South.
His mother came from Mississippi. My mother's side of the family, they came from Oklahoma and Arkansas. My mother's side of the family been in Chicago a little longer than my dad's side of the family. My mom's side of the family been here since 1932. My dad's side of the family got here about 1944, 45. But my dad, he's a proud West Sider. He grew up on the West Side in North Lawndale. Went to Marshall High School, Vietnam veteran.
Through his dad's eyes and experiences, he learned about the entire city of Chicago, not just his own neighborhood.
I was fortunate enough to where he would take, me and my siblings around the whole entire city, north side, east side, west side. So even that kind of made us different than the kids in my neighborhood. A lot of them never really left Auburn Gresham. Downtown would be the biggest thing they would do. We would go downtown so much it was boring to me by the time I was a teenager, So I had a fortunate upbringing.
The lessons he learned from his father and other historians motivates him to educate the next generation on the importance of Chicago and its history.
I now certainly understand it to be my job, right? I used to look at verbal history or storytelling and think that it had gaps in it. Man, you can't trust what people say type of thing. But now I'm learning the writing is what a lot of time has gaps, because when you're writing a story, you got time to think, you got time to say, I don't like how the way this sound, let me add. And a lot of times when you're telling a story, people can very quickly realize when you're telling some bull crap in the story, whether they know it or not, right? And so passing down tradition, and that's just what Africans have always done, and so as African Americans, I think that's still inside us as well, and I think it's needed too. A lot of people aren't going to open a book to receive their history, but they need their history. History is the blueprint that kind of helps you go forward, right? And I feel very strongly about that storytelling. I'm always impressed when I run into other historians here in Chicago, like when I met Dr. Tamil Black, the 102-year-old historian who just passed away, just how much he could rattle off and how passionate he was about it. It was very inspiring. So that's what I'm hoping to do for the next couple of decades at least.
With so much knowledge on Chicago, what better way to reach an audience than TikTok? He credits his wife and daughter Bailey for showing him the platform.
My wife got on TikTok and she be laying in bed laughing all day. And she told me to get a TikTok. I was resistant. Then she's 9 now, but she was 8. And she got on TikTok, and I'm like, that's a little young to have your own kind of TikTok account. Let me see what's to it. And she used to want me to do the dances with her, right? So I entertained it the best I can, but I suck at dancing. So I was trying, but she would be like upset, right? We do a TikTok and get 10 views, whatever. I wasn't paying no attention, but she'd be like upset. She wanted to go viral. So I was like, man, Bailey, if you want to go viral, look, right, I'm gonna like feed you Chicago stories. You know what I'm saying? And I had you talk about the first night Wrigley Field had lights. That 888 game, right? And I was like, yo, you a cute little girl. You're going to go viral in no time. Like, we gonna build an audience, but it's work. You're going to have to read. You have to do this. And she didn't want to do that. That the history ain't her thing, right? That's what she told me. And so I did a couple just to show her, like, it would generate more views than the dancing. And I couldn't convince her to join. She'll make a cameo or something now, but she ain't going to do no research for me. But yeah, that's how I started. That's what got me going on the videos. And then compliments are kind of like addiction. People in the comments like, hey, do another one. Or sometimes I would be like surprised that people didn't know this simple thing or what I thought was simple, right? And then, like I say, that's just like what I do. If you on a long road trip with me, at some point we're going to be talking about Chicago, right? If I see another tour group downtown, and they're pausing, talking, I'm going to interject myself and continue whatever the point or point out something else historical in that space. So I've always done it. I just think TikTok allowed for me to do it on a bigger platform now. And I'm big on like preparation plus opportunity equals success. You know what I mean? I've been independently studying Chicago for like 25 years. And the opportunity came and I was successful.
He remembers his very first viral TikTok, focusing on Lower Wacker Drive and how difficult it is to navigate it, even as a Chicagoan.
Just how people going back and forth in the comments, talking about how their GPS get lost down there. And then like older Chicagoans remember a different version of Lower Wacker Drive. It used to be really dark and scary down there. And then nobody knows how to navigate it, right? Except for like the people us who work downtown. But yeah, most of the time we get like 4,000 or 5,000 views. And when I made Lil Wacker Drive, I posted it. It had like 4,000 or 5,000 views. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, it was like 100,000. I'm like, oh, and, that's when I was like, okay, we might have something here. This is Upper and Lower Wacker Drive, a road here in Chicago that many Chicagoans have gotten lost on. And right now, I'm not going to be able to tell you how to navigate it. I can tell you why we call it Wacker Drive, though. Originally a part of the 1909 Chicago plan by Daniel Burnham and Edward Bennett, a double-decker road was thought to ease the traffic congestion on Michigan Avenue. Upper and Lower Wacker Drive will replace River Street and South Water Street. It was completed in 1926 for $8 million, and it was named after the commissioner of the Chicago plan, Charles Wacker. Charles Wacker was born August 29, 1856. He was a director of the Columbian World Exposition, and at one point he was president of Chicago Title and Trust Company. He's also famous for being part of the group that standardized the process for refrigerating beer. Hey, good job, Charles. Dark Knight and the Blues Brothers made Lower Wacker Drive famous, but if you get lost, just give a homeless dude $1, he'll help. I was doing one a day to start off. Just, I don't necessarily want to say intentional, but just people were asking for it, right? Like, it was so new, and then you know at the beginning you ain't no trolls, right? It's just like the people who appreciate your art. And so like people who live in other places will say, oh man, this is making me homesick. Oh man, I didn't know that. Or teachers were saying, I'm gonna play this in my class tomorrow, you should make another one. And so that was like inspiring me. And I had now some subjects I might research or just to add something more to the video. But in the beginning, like, I didn't need to research any of them. Those were just like Chicago stuff I casually knew. And so it was sort of easier to bang them out one a day. I just needed to find the B-roll just to go with them. And because I'm such a nerd, even I had some of those files like in a Google Drive somewhere. So it takes hours to edit them and do all of that. And I was new to using TikTok, so it really took time.
And even as his social media following continues to grow, Dilla is dedicated to his day-to-day job as an area operator for ComEd. proving that he can balance work with creativity.
I think a lot of us move in that kind of space, right? People like teach and go home and Uber, and you know what I mean? You might work for Amazon and then do DoorDash, right? So it's Chicago. Everybody work hard. You know, that's like kind of what we do. So it's a little rough. As an area operator, it's a demanding job. They can call me in anytime, right? It's 24 hours a day. I get a lot of forced overtime and stuff like that. So I just do my rule is I don't think about nothing when I'm in front of the electricity, right? Because the electricity is unforgiving. And then after that, if I'm not directly in front of electricity, I just let them blend together. ComEd has been really gracious, like, you know, just don't be abusive to their clock, right? But say if this conversation we were having right now, it was a phone Zoom or something like that, I could do that on the clock as long as I let a boss know or something like that. Like, hey, I'm finna be on this Zoom for 20 minutes. I don't have anything pressing in front of me. They've been really, really cool about that. I think because they recognize it's positive, you know, so it's been like a hodgepodge.
Now that Dilla has stepped into the world of content creation, I wanted to know how he feels about being an influencer.
It's so weird to be a influencer due to like trying to teach stuff, right? It would be different if I was like one of the people just made like comedy skits, right? Like I think that's your intention to be an influencer and to be in that space. It certainly wasn't mine. I just happened to use social media to disseminate history. And I don't trivialize it though, right? Like it's people who work really, really hard to be social media influencers, you know, like that's what they're that's what they want their job to be. I just try to I just hope my influence is more so toward inspiring people to love and appreciate history more so than, you know, be on social media, right? Do that because you want to do it. But if I'm influencing you to do something, let it be like gain some civic pride. It's really hard to treat a space bad when you know more about it.
Even though he doesn't consider himself the typical influencer, he is hoping to inspire people to view Chicago in a different light and make his family proud along the way.
I try to take myself out of it and say like, because I'm such a big fan of Chicago, if this was anybody else from Chicago this was happening to, I would be so excited for them. I'd be pumped. I'd be celebrating them. I'd be so happy that Chicago's on the news for something that's not violence and corruption. And so as humbly as I can be about it, I'm happy that it's for those reasons. My parents are no longer with me, but I think about them and like how they raised me. Would probably feel like the ultimate payoff, right? You turn on Kelly Clarkson and they go, your son talking about history, right? Not, you know, doing anything else. So I'm appreciative. It's crazy. People stop me at work. People ask for selfies, you know. I just try to take it all in stride and just hope I'm putting out good content since this is now what I do.
And his next big thing is working on writing a pilot for a Netflix series, which he has never done before. But with the help of other famous Chicagoans like Matthew Cherry, Thomas Lennon, Jason Weaver, and just a Chicago mentality, he is sure he will get it done.
Well, we invent so much stuff in America, right? And so like and I'm especially appreciative of that now, trying to write a pilot, right? To invent something from nothing is really, really a hard thing to do, you know. To maybe enhance something that's already there is a little bit easier. And Chicago, we build a lot of something out of nothing. A lot of amazing people come from the housing projects, and the housing projects had little or no support, right? I come from Marvin Gresham. I call it the gangbang 90s. It was a little bit rough, right? But it was through just being thoughtful and navigating certain spaces that me and a lot of other people survive. And so I think about it like that too. Like, man, if I could survive going to the route and to the rink on the 87th Street bus and the 63rd Street bus, if I could talk my way out of so many times getting ready to get, you know, the wrong end of somebody's Nikes, I could probably figure out how to write a pilot, you know, like just that, right? On multiple fronts. I didn't talk my way out of getting jumped in Bridgeport by the Irish dudes. I didn't talk my way out of getting jumped by the Puerto Ricans in Humboldt Park. I didn't talk my way out of getting jumped by the brothers on 79th and Stony Island, right? So If I could figure that out, I'm sure I could figure out a pilot. And I think a lot of Chicagoans feel that way about a lot of stuff. We go to work when it's 10 degrees, right? It'd be windshield -30, and we be on the bus waiting for buses. We kids, you know what I'm saying? So if we can navigate that, it ain't really nothing we can't navigate.
A common thread throughout our conversation was how impactful Chicago culture is on the rest of the world. And Dilla says, we've always had influence and always will.
Anywhere you go in the world, they trying to sell you a Chicago style hot dog. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna say that. Just the how we do music, right? Our sound. Right now, if you're a rap fan, like it was a time every ad lib sounded like Jeezy, and then Chief Keef came out, and now every single ad lib by every single rapper right now is a cadence of something that Chicago kids were just casually saying for years, right? Like that's influence, that's impact. How, like I said, when we build stuff, right? They think of like Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania for steel, but we have more steel mills. And then like when stuff gets built out of Chicago, it got to survive so many seasons. It's got to survive salt. It got to survive 100 degrees. It got to survive so much. So it's really made to last. And so for a very long time, people preferred tools that were made in Chicago, right? Because we're in the center of the country, all the trains intersect here. Still right now, most major freight, if it goes from the East Coast to the West Coast and vice versa, it's going to go through Chicago, right? And it's always done that for like the last 150 years. So freight brings people in. As those people take their freight out, they take our influences with them, right? So yeah, we're very impactful on the country.
Being able to learn more about Chicago's impact is one of the main reasons why I look forward to Dilla's videos. Here's a couple of my favorites.
Yo, what's up? It's your favorite neighborhood historian, Dilla. And anytime you turn on the national news and they mention Chicago, it's probably going to be something bad. But I personally know that everything dope about America was either made in or made better by Chicago. Let me give you a couple of examples. Right now, you're probably watching this video on your cell phone, and you can thank a Chicago company for the invention of the first ever commercial cell phone. Chicagoans Paul and Joseph Galvin created the Galvin Manufacturing Company. The Galvin Manufacturing Company would give America its first ever commercially produced car radio. Imagine being on a road trip with your parents and there's no radio, bruh. Come on. Before cell phones, we all had pagers, and Motorola gave us that too. And yes, that does include the two-way pager. Yes, that comes from Chicago. Motorola also gave us the walkie-talkie. So when security radios down to the principal's office to kick you out of class, you can thank Chicago for that too. They say baseball is America's pastime, and Chicago is super involved in the game. Both the Cubs and the White Sox are some of the oldest teams in the MLB. But beyond that, Chicago gives us the Spalding brand and the Wilson brand. Spalding is credited with popularizing wearing a baseball glove, and Wilson standardized the catcher's mitt. Now, I'm not saying that bicycles were invented in Chicago, but the Swin bicycle was. Swin bikes were the most popular bikes in the country for a very long time, and I mean, come on, look at this thing. It's absolutely amazing. Often imitated, never duplicated, Chicago gave you the Chicago mix style of popcorn. Come on, you want something right now, don't you? You know, Chicago also gives us wave grease. I'm not saying we invented hair grease, but I'm saying we invented wave grease. So the next time you see somebody taking off their do-rag for a wave check, you can thank Chicago for that too. Greatest city on earth.
Shades of the City's mission is to serve the community and the people. Through our podcast, we want the people to have a chance to tell their story, just like Dilla.
I think that's what you're doing is cool. I think the format is cool. It meets people where they are. You get a sense. People are more relaxed when they are, right? Sometimes when you go down to a station or something like that, you put on airs, you know, you're going downtown or whatever. But then also, it's mutually beneficial because maybe the reporter or the journalist isn't from that area. Maybe they might have had preconceived notions, right? So you're able to change people's perceptions, right, with personal interactions. So that's a good thing. And then the audience, if they trust or have a relationship with the correspondent, maybe they'll also visit that, that neighborhood. Maybe Going out to the neighborhood, it might not cross your mind today, but I remember when I went to interview Dilla, I saw that Afro Cafe, right? I might want to stop there. Like, those type of things really, really matter, and they radiate out and make the city better.
To stay up to date on what Shermann Dilla Thomas is doing in the community, follow him on all social media platforms at the number 6 FIGGA_DILLA. And if you want to tour the city through his eyes, go to ChicagoMahogany.com to go on a Chicago Mahogany tour across the city. This show is produced by me, Lauren Brown, co-produced by Jillian DeGroot, and overseen by managing editor Jay Zawoski. From WBBM and Odyssey, this is Shades of the City. Be sure to subscribe on the Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.